Development of syriac tradition in India. History never looks like history when you're living through it. So, this unit deals with the growth of syriac tradition in India during the period from 5th to 16th century AD with special reference to Kerala. The relation between the Persian and the Syrians of Malabar enriched Syriac language, literature, and Syriac culture in Kerala. The second Syrian immigration of 9th century AD also helped the spread of Syriac language and literature here. The arrival of the Portuguese in the 16th century AD and the later events hindered the growth of Syriac tradition. And in this unit also deals with the Synod of Diamper, which adversely affected the future history of the St. Thomas Christians in India. After the completion of this unit, we will be able to list the factor which led to the relation between the Persian Church and the Syrians of Malabar, and make notes on second Syrian immigration and its impact on Kerala culture. List the evidence such as the excavation of Persian crosses and the testimony of Cosmas for the relation between the Persian Church and the Syrians of Malabar. And we can also discuss the Portuguese influence on Syriac language and literature. Okay. So, in Syriac class 12th, page number 105, there is a picture. Okay. So, this is a picture of a chaplet granted by Cheraman Perumal to the Christians of Quirone. And what is the significance of chaplets in the history of Kerala? Persian and Indian relation. The relation between the Syrians of Malabar and the Persian Church is very ancient, and this relation contributed much to the development of Syriac language and literature in Kerala. The factors which lead to the relation are the following. The first one, Thomistic affinity, that both the Malabar Church and the Persian Church were founded by St. Thomas, one of the disciples of Jesus. The common patrimony brought them to close relation. And the next thing, linguistic affinity. Malabar Church and the Persian Church had Syriac as their official language from the beginning. So it was very easy for the Syrians of Malabar to relate with Persian Church. Third one, the commercial and cultural activity. From very early centuries onwards, there was strong commercial relationship between India and Persia. This paved the way for easy access to other relations too. Liturgical affinity. The Malabar Church and the Persian Church followed by ancient Chaldean rite for their liturgical service. This liturgical affinity led a very strong bond of union between the Persian and the Malabar churches. Okay, both India and Persia were under one province in those days. The Persian church enjoyed the right of sending bishops to India. During all these periods, the chief head of the Malabar was called the Metropolitan and the gate of all India. And the evidences. Some of the evidence for the relationship between Persian Church and the Syrians of Malabar are the following. The first one, the testimony of Cosmas, Indigo Plusters. Cosmas Indigo Plusters, an Alexandrian traveler who visited South India in 522 AD, gives testimony about the presence of Persian bishop in India. In this book, The Universal Christian Topography, he mention of the flourishing church in the pepper-growing Malabar and a bishop consecrated in Persia reside in Mylapore, and the Persian crosses. The Persian cross used by the East Syrians and the Syrians of Malabar is an important evidence for the relation that existed between the Persian church and the Syrians of Malabar. We can find this cross in Kerala in the Kananaya Valyapalli Kottayam and in two other churches, Kadu Turuthi and Muttuchira. And then Kananaya Valyapalli Kottayam is famous for its two granite Persian crosses. Crosses are pictured on the wall with inscription in the Pahlavi language, which was the official language of the Sasanian dynasty in Persia. Second Syrian immigration. The second Syrian immigration of Syrians to Malabar took place in 9th century AD. A group of Syrians from Persia reached Malabar under the leadership of the merchant Sabariso in 825 AD. The ruler of Wayanad, Ayan Adikal, welcomed them. The immigrants settled in Ceylon and built a church there known as Teresa Pali. The king granted them several privileges inscribed on two copper plates in favor of the Teresa Church at Ceylon, known as Kollam. These copper plates are called Teresa Pali Sasanam. These were two copper plates granted, and by these 72 special privileges were granted to the immigrants. The Teresa Pali copper plate, considered to be written in 849 AD, is one of the most important historical inscriptions of Kerala and reliable documentary evidence in the presence of a Syrian community in early Malabar. Mar Sapar and Mar Proth were two bishops sent by the Persian Church. Most of the historians believed that they came to Malabar with a second group of immigrants from Persia in 825 AD. Mar Sapar established his see at Ceylon and Mar Proth at Karanganur. They constructed many churches and reorganized the Church of Malabar. Some historians say that Mar Sapar received to Christianity the ruler of the kingdom of Diampur with a large number of her subjects, and thus originated the Christian royal family of Malabar known as Villarvattam. Mar Sapar and Mar Proth were men illustrious for their sanctity, and their memory were held sacred in Malabar Church. They were generally recognized as saints. Several churches in Malabar were built in their honor and dedicated to them. In the 16th century, Archbishop Alex Domenius rededicated those churches to All Saints. So today we have discussed many things. Yeah, thank you and have a nice day ahead. You can go through the text. Thank you.